Welcome on into Thursday Throwdown. I am your host, Spencer Davies, where we talk about wrestling and WWE and everything happened in the past week. I'd like to remind you to go to our YouTube page at WZIP Sports, where we'll be posting podcasts about this every Thursday. So let's dive into it now. Into Raw. So we had our matches. First, the Intercontinental title. Dolph Ziggler defeated The Miz and Cesaro to retain. Layla defeated Rosa Mendez. Bo Dallas defeated Mark Henry. Brie Bella defeated Cameron and Eva Marie in a handicap match. Slater Gator defeated Los Matadores. Alicia Fox defeated AJ Lee with the assistance of Paige. Sheamus defeated Damian Sandow. And in our main event, John Cena and Dean Ambrose defeated Kane and Randy Orton via disqualification. Now this Raw, I felt like it was pretty good actually. It was in Chicago. It opened up with Seth Rollins and The Authority coming out. And, of course, in the opening segment, it had CM Punk. Stephanie addressed them by calling him a quitter. So that makes you think, are those sides mended? Because Stephanie McMahon earlier on the Chicago radio station talked about the possibility and said, never say never. It was a fun character and you can still have stuff to do with it. So maybe they have mended those sides. So let's get to it. The reason they came out in open Raw is because Dean Ambrose stole the Money in a Bank briefcase on SmackDown to foil the Authority. Now, I love this storyline and everything that has to do with it, but we'll get to that later. So let's talk Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper. After the segment that opened Raw, there was a vignette of Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper talking about setting him free. He's finally free. Now, Luke Harper is probably the best in-ring worker, and he's finally getting that singles push. And I love every single second of it because he is going to be a major player down the road. If he brushes up on those mic skills, look out. Now, the point I would like to address is, who will he target in his first feud? There's a lot of names that come to mind that are completely storyline-less right now. You got to think, well, Chris Jericho's shelved because you're not going to really go with him. You've got a ton of people you could be calling up from NXT that maybe they ended up feuding with, but only time will tell. Now, Bray Wyatt's going to play this managerial role to boost his character because creative has absolutely nothing for him right now. And you can't keep on putting him in these feuds that are below him with Big Show and Sheamus. You can't do that to that character. So, I think it's a brilliant move to put him in a managerial role with Luke Harper to further his character and finally give him that credibility that he so rightly deserves. Now, I do want to mention this. On Twitter, he teased a feud with Sting, talking about scorpions. Now, this could all just be speculation, of course, just to try to get our hopes up. But it also couldn't be. So who knows? Sting still hasn't made an appearance on WWE television. So what if this is the first thing he does? So we'll find that out. All right, moving on to the Intercontinental matchup that I mentioned earlier between The Miz, Dolph Ziggler, and Cesaro. What a match. Now, if they could do that every Raw and bring out that type of quality match to make you want to see more, that would be excellent. I'm not a big fan of The Miz, but he was fantastic in this. Cesaro, as always, fantastic. And Dolph Ziggler, as everyone knows, can sell an encyclopedia to a blind man. What a match. Of course, the final ending was Cesaro uppercutting The Miz off of the turnbuckle. Ziggler then threw Cesaro and then took the pinfall to retain, which makes you think, is Dolph Ziggler going to enter a feud with Cesaro? And if so, this is going to be the best mid-card feud that you will have seen in years because you have two excellent workers, both main event potential, both have almost seen the main event, and you will bring relevance back to that Intercontinental title. Moving on to what goes on with The Miz. Now, with The Miz out of the Intercontinental title picture from now on, as you would probably think, he's got to find somebody else. So he went backstage to Triple H to complain. Triple H had the biggest burn ever. It was fantastic. He said, tell Miz if he doesn't shut up, his straight-to-DVD career will go straight to the unemployment line. If that didn't make you want to get some ice for that burn, I don't know what will, because that was a fantastic comment. I loved that. Well, anyways, in retaliation to that, Triple H put his stunt double, Damian Sandow, a.k.a. Damian Mizdow, in a match with Sheamus as punishment. And Sandow held his own, as always, because he's a good worker, and he's in a terrible spot right now, but you know what? There's nothing for him in creative right now, so that's what they have him doing. Sheamus ended up getting the win, but Miz was on commentary, eyeing Sheamus up this entire time, which makes you think there's probably a U.S. title feud in the works between the two. And you know what? That's fine with me. I'm not going to be very invested into it because I'm not a big fan of either character. I think they either need a shift or they just need to be gone. But you know what? They need something in the lower card, so that's what they're going to go with. I think that Sheamus is going to see a heel turn come soon. As I was mentioning earlier, Luke Harper's going to have to target someone. Maybe it's Sheamus. You know what? Maybe he's the one that's going to target Sheamus because Sheamus has been growing a beard. So you don't know. And as far as The Miz goes, I could see him winning this U.S. title. In my opinion, the U.S. title and the Intercontinental title should be unified. Okay, moving on. Star and Goldust had a bizarre vignette, as usual. They're two bizarre characters. But Goldust, as soon as Stardust started to get a little bit silly, slapped him. And he said, stay focused. We've got what we need. Now everyone's going to be coming for us. And I like that because they're going to have to take that serious approach. They can still keep their bizarre characters, but they're going to have to take that serious approach if they're going to be treated as serious tag team title holders. And they are one of the best tag teams, if not the best tag team in the WWE right now besides the Usos, because their chemistry is fantastic. Their characters are fantastic. They have great promo work. I believe that they are going to be the title holders for a long, long time like the Usos were. They just need a foil, and that's where I think the Ascension enters. I think the Ascension, since they just lost their titles on NXT, they get called up because they are fantastic down there at Full Sail University, and they're ready to be on the main roster, I should say. All right, moving on. While Mark Henry was in the ring, Bo Dallas interrupted him and said that he let America down or, whatever he did with Swagger, because that's what Bo Dallas does. As a match with Mark Henry ends up upsetting Mark Henry. Tell me you didn't see that coming. Wow. That was out of nowhere. Easily Bo Dallas' biggest win of his career. But now, you see after the match, Bo Dallas is getting an interview with Renee Young backstage. Mark Henry attacks him from behind, throws him into some barricade-looking objects, smashes him. I think we've seen the return of Mark Henry, and this is his last run as a heel. I also would like to mention, did Bo Dallas turn face in that little segment? If Bo Dallas turned face, I think that's too quick. But he so desperately needs something because no one is feeling him. There were some signs that you see Bo leave or whatever like that. Maybe he's a tweener, who knows? But I think they turned him face in this. And I don't know where they're going to go from there. Now, speaking of Mark Henry, he lost to Rusev about 2 weeks ago. Enter his tag team partner for about a month, Big Show. Now, on last Friday's SmackDown, Big Show knocked out Rusev after their match. Is this Rusev's first foil? Is Big Show going to get this job done? Is he going to finally stop this momentum? They have a match next Monday. I don't think that it's going to end cleanly, and this is going to lead to a match at Hell in a Cell. I don't want it to, but I think it is going to. I think Rusev's biggest foil has to come from a certain Olympic gold medalist that's going to return to the WWE, and his name is Kurt Angle. Of course, that's a pipeline dream, but I've seen enough of Rusev. I'm pretty tired of him. Okay, moving on. Randy Orton and Kane. Now, you saw in a segment earlier on Raw that Triple H was talking to them, and Stephanie was talking to them, and Orton and Kane are getting fed up of cleaning up Seth Rollins' messes. Now, one thing that they have to be slowly turning either face or separating themselves from the Authority because they don't want to deal with this young guy who's getting himself into trouble and having to clean up that mess. And they don't like it. If I see another Randy Orton face turn or a Kane face turn, I don't know where their direction's going to be. I think they just need to separate themselves from the Authority. Orton's only good character is as a heel, and he's been a heel for about, I'd say, almost a year now. So turning him face, I'm not sure that's the right move, but who knows where they're going to go from there. Kane, I think he just needs to be done. I don't see any more things he can do in the ring. He just needs to go away. He needs to find his political career as Glenn Jacobs. He's done. All right, moving on to the star of the show, my favorite character they have for them right now, Dean Ambrose, the Lunatic Fringe. Now, Ambrose came out in the middle of the show with Seth Rollins' Money in the Bank briefcase, and he had a bunch of merchandise from WWE shops around the arena. And he literally was auctioning off these t-shirts and throwing them into the audience. Now, in order to foil that, Triple H's stooges of this era, basically the Gerald Briscoe and Pat Patterson, have turned into Joey Mercury and Jamie Noble. They come out there, and Ambrose immediately ribs on him and says, "You guys sent the Cruiserweight division to come and get me?" That was fantastic. I don't know why they're the Stooges, but they are. So, afraid of Dean Ambrose, they go backstage to get security. And Dean Ambrose, once again, ribs on the security guards this time. Says, "Are you guys really security? I could have swore you guys were rosebuds last week." This character and Dean Ambrose himself is so entertaining. They cannot drop the ball with this guy. So, in the segment, Ambrose says, fine, I don't want any problems. I'll leave the Money in the Bank briefcase on this table that I set up with all my merchandise, and you guys can take it. So, Seth Rollins comes out, calmly climbs into the ring, opens the briefcase very slowly. Dean Ambrose, watching from the crowd, gets slimed in the face. Now, I know it's not as vulgar, but that was funny. If you didn't enjoy seeing Seth Rollins get slimed, you don't have a funny bone. That was awesome. And Ambrose is taking this complete combination of characters that you've seen in the past and meshing them together. He's like a combination of Stone Cold, Brian Pillman, Roddy Piper. I've even seen comparisons to Mick Foley. He's just making this hybrid character that is so compelling and something the audience needs something fresh. And he's completely carrying the show right now. And he's getting over. He's completely over. I said it as soon as the Shield came in that Ambrose was their best worker overall. Rollins was the best in the ring, and Roman Reigns had the best look. Ambrose is incorporating all three of those things right now and is truly carrying this company. So let's get to the main event. Because of that little stunt, Triple H says, okay, let's put them in a tag team match. We'll go John Cena and Dean Ambrose and Kane and Orton. You'll clean up Seth Rollins' mess for him. So they had a good match in the main event. Back and forth. Ambrose hits the Dirty Deeds on Randy Orton, goes for the pin. Seth Rollins causes a disqualification by breaking up the pin attempt. So after that, they all consistently beat on John Cena and Ambrose. And to close the show, Orton, Kane, Rollins, and the entire Authority were all on the same page. Well, that's about all the time we have on this week's Thursday Throwdown. I'd like to thank you for listening. Be sure to tune in to next Monday night on Raw for all these feuds to continue. And next Thursday for Thursday Throwdown, I'm your host, Spencer Davies. Everybody have a great night.